Whatever kind of classroom you may find yourself walking into, empowering educators is the spark, the anchor, and the perspective you need. It is your quick hit of clarity and perspective, crafted for teachers who want to teach with purpose, build stronger relationships, and create classrooms where students thrive. Think of it as your daily dose of good practice in action. Practical, grounded, and designed to create spaces where students feel seen, safe, and ready to learn, while also allowing teachers to find their own authentic flow. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Empowering Educators. This is Ben Russell from Empowerment Ed. Today, we're diving into a moment that can be make or break for a successful lesson. That is, effectively gaining the attention of your class. To measure our own success in this skill, I want to start with a simple question. How long does it actually take for your students to listen to you after you've indicated you want their attention? If you've ever stood at the front of the room waiting and waiting and waiting, you know exactly how lonely that moment can feel. Or you can recall the time your impatience perhaps got the better of you and you resorted to yelling for attention. Don't worry, we've all been there. Or you may be trying to explain a concept or transition into the next phase of the lesson or share something important and the room just doesn't settle. You may feel like a deer in the headlights. 10 seconds feels like a minute may feel like an eternity. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether you're in your first year or your 20th. Every teacher has moments where gaining attention is a struggle. The difference is experienced teachers can plan for these moments. We can have routines, and we can have a few ace cards up our sleeve so those lonely moments happen less often. And when they do happen, we know exactly how to respond. But lonely moments exist. I've had plenty. I once had a tricky Year 9 class one afternoon, and I was pretty much checked out for the day. The class was supposed to be working on a task that I had just set after explaining a concept. Error number 1, I didn't check for understanding, but that's for another podcast episode. And instead of students doing the work, there was just low-level noise with around about a 5% engagement rate. As a result, I tried to gain the attention of the class to address the noise and call for their attention through something like, "Thanks, Year 9, quiet thanks." Yeah, I said thanks twice. We need to keep it down. The good ones heard and quietened down, but as I scanned the rest of the room, there was just simply remaining noise. I repeated, "Thanks, Year 9, and then, probably at the top of my lungs, "Well, you just stop talking." And I then went off for a solid few minutes about how rude the class is, how disrespectful the behaviour is, and let them know why should I bother going to all this prep when they do absolutely nothing. It was a proper spray, the type where kids in the front row with glasses on had to turn on their windscreen wipers. And yes, they got quiet, but I was cranky, and a lot of time got lost over something as simple as gaining the class attention. Of course, it's worth noting the kids were rat bags that lesson. But I had some accountability here, and with some simple adjustments in routines to gain attention, it could have made the world of difference when my energy levels were low. So what is gaining attention? In simple terms, it's the process of directing students' focus onto you and holding an environment when there isn't distraction from that focus. It's that moment before we begin explicit instruction, or the moment before you outline the next task. It's a moment where you need the whole class aligned, listening, and ready. Essentially, it's doing everything in your control to ensure the students can hear what you're telling them. And while there's no one-size-fits-all approach, because every class has its own personality, there are certain strategies that consistently help teachers gain attention quickly, calmly, and confidently. The best way to avoid the awkward "why aren't they listening" moment is to make getting attention a routine of your practice, somewhat like a norm. Something students expect and understand when coming. Here are 5 strategies that might help you build that normal routine as a part of your practice. Number 1, provide a scaffolded warning. A scaffolded warning is exactly as it sounds, a gentle cue that attention is about to be required. Something like, After you finish your sentence, pens down, eyes this way. Year 7 in 10 seconds, I'm going to need your eyes this way. Wrap up your conversation, Year 10, in the next 30 seconds, and then on me. This gives students time to transition. It respects their social moment while signalling a transition is coming. And it prevents that jarring, stop everyone now energy that often perhaps leads to resistance. Number 2, your influence position. You stand where it matters. Your physical presence during gaining attention is one of the strongest tools you have. Before you look to signal to gain attention, move to a position where you can see the whole room. I like either the front and centre or to the front to the left. You stand still, square your shoulders, make eye contact with the class, and then give your cue. Students will pick up on that body language long before they process the words. Your influence position says a lot about you already. And I'm almost asking the class, are they? Number 3 is the narrated count, my favourite. A narrated count is simple, predictable, and incredibly effective. A simple one, Year 9, I need your eyes on me in 3, pens down on 2, and we are silent, eyes this way, 1. It's calm, controlled, non-confrontational. And it gives you a chance to acknowledge the students who are already doing the right thing through your non-verbal cues, which reinforces the behaviour you want. Number 4 is a cue for attention. This is where your personality, your subject, and the students you have in front of you come into play, often really effective in the lower grades. Your cue might be a hand in the air and the students copy, a clap pattern, a countdown, which is a bit different to a narrated count, a whistle if you're in the HPE land, a bell if you're in primary land, or repeating a phrase the class knows. It could be pointing to a visual cue on the board. Whatever it might be, the whole point of a cue is to reduce your voice being said as much as possible. Whatever cue you choose, once you've got it, teach it to the class, allow them to practice it, and then stick to it. Number 5, not just some, everyone. And I would say this one's a non-negotiable when gaining attention. You don't begin your instruction or message when most students are listening. You begin your instruction and you move from gaining attention once everyone is listening. If you start talking while a few students are still chatting, you've communicated that your expectations are flexible and that they'll magically tighten later. I've got news for you, they won't. Please hold the line. Wait for everyone. It's worth it. And then the curveball might be, then sure, those are great attention cues, but what happens if the class doesn't settle? And this is the moment that tests you. You've got a couple of options. You can choose to pause and wait. However, the danger is if you don't have the confidence to wait and hold that silence, you could backfire. But if you have it in you, standing in your influence position, using eye contact, and staying calm, that long pause can become a powerful moment. If that isn't your piece of cake, a few things are also worth considering. While you're waiting, you might be champion the good. So you might say, thank you, Mia, for tuning in. Thank you, Liam, just waiting on a few more. This shifts the social pressure. You could also look at some non-verbal cues. A simple raised eyebrow, could be a pause. It could be a slow walk or proximity towards the noise. These often work better than words when you're looking to gain attention. Finally, you could also go for a reset and begin your gaining attention from the start. And sometimes this needs to occur after a pause, you taking a moment to breathe, and then trying again. Not being seen as a failure, it's a sign of wisdom and letting go of your own ego, knowing that it's not you, this time it's them, and you're the adult, you don't need the win here. So if I was back with my Year 9 class and going through that moment again where I lost it with cranky old me, I would have done this instead. To gain their attention, I would have moved to my influence position. I would have clapped twice to break the volume in the room. It was just a habit I did, just a part of my practice. I still do it a lot. And then I would have given it a rated countdown. At the end of it, I would have championed the good in the room, whether it was 2 students or 80%, and then used proximity control or a verbal redirect if the tricky group was not coming on board. And I would say this works about 98% of the time. The other 2% is one of those hard moments that occur in class. And that's probably a discussion for another time. The art of gaining attention is nothing magical. It's a skill and it's learnable for all. And with the right routines in place, Those moments when you gain for attention and you get nothing and it feels really lonely, they actually become rare. And if they do happen, this time you've got the skill set and the equipment up your sleeve to be ready. That's all for today's episode of Empowering Educators. If you're keen to dive deeper into more of what we do for both teachers and students at Empowerment Ed, or explore our face-to-face professional learning opportunities, head to www.empowerment-ed.com.au to see what we're building for educators like you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care.